The Cell Massacre, euphemistically called Celle Hasenjagd, hare chase of Celle, was a massacre of concentration camp inmates that took place in Celle, Prussian Hanover, in the last weeks of the Second World War. On 8 April 1945, over 3,000 concentration camp internees were killed in an Allied air raid and subsequent attacks by SS guards, Gestapo, and Nazi Party officials, as well as members of the public. Some of the perpetrators of the massacre were later tried, but all of those convicted for the crime were set free in the early 1950s. Events. On 8 April 1945, a month before the unconditional surrender of Germany, transports from several concentration camps were hit in an airstrike. 2,862 Ukrainian, Russian, Polish, Dutch and French nationals from the Drut camp, a subcamp to the Neuengamme concentration camp, were forced into freight cars located at the Celle yard en route to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. This transport had joined others the day before, making the total count around 4,000 men and women. On this transport, many internees died of exhaustion and malnutrition. The freight train carrying the internees stopped next to an ammunition train, which exploded during the air raid. In the ensuing inferno, most of the wagons carrying the internees were destroyed and a number of prisoners lost their lives. The surviving prisoners fled either into the town or westward towards the Neustadt wood, while SS troops opened fire on them. As soon as the air raid was over, the SS guards, civilians who were members of the local Nazi Party, Gestapo members, the fire brigade and members of the public pursued the fleeing internees. The internees who were caught and survived were detained on the spot near the Neustadt wood. Some 30 persons were executed on suspicion of looting. Most of the surviving internees were marched to Bergen-Belsen, while others were detained at the Army's Hyde Barracks. Of the approximately 4,000 prisoners who had been in Celle on 8 April, only 487 survivors reached Bergen-Belsen on the morning of 10 April, 5 days before the camp's liberation by British and Canadian forces. The remainder either died of exhaustion or were murdered on the death marches. Aftermath. The British Army liberated Celle on 12 April and launched an investigation into the events of 8 April. The 11th of April. Their chronicler characterized the Hyde Caserne as a microcosm of Bergen-Belsen. Estimates place the number of hare hunt victims at 200 to 300. The remaining transport prisoners died of other causes. Only 14 military and police personnel and political leaders were tried in the Cell Massacre trial, which began in December 1947. 7 were acquitted of murder or accessory to murder because of insufficient evidence, whereas 4 were found guilty as perpetrators and sentenced to between 4 and 10 years in prison. In addition, 3 were sentenced to death. One of the death sentences was overturned on appeal and the other 2 were reduced to 15 to 20 years imprisonment as part of a clemency issued by the British military governor. All those imprisoned were released by October 1952 for good behavior. See also: List of massacres in Germany, Mühlviertler Hasenjagd, Nazi concentration camps. Further reading: Freeman, Roger A., Crouchman, Alan, Maslin, Vic. 1990. The Mighty Eighth War Diary. Rev. ed. London. Arms and Armour Press. OCLC 59,830,319. Saft. Ulrich. 1990. Krieg an der Heimat, das bitte Ende zwischen Weser und Elbe. Langenhagen, U. Saft. ISBN 3-98017890-0. In German. Sources and references. In German. http www. Celle im Nationalsozialismus. Der. Section in the German Wiki.